Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to the Deceptor Lab. This is Freeze coming at you with another video. And as promised, and I know it was a long delay, one of the things that I wanted to talk about for this week's con highlight of the week is going to be Shattered Glass Shockwave. And so let's take a look at what he looks like real quick before we actually get into some gameplay. But let me actually put him on the game screen, and yeah, so this is what I've got for him stat wise. Like I always try to carry all these guys at level 51 because I want to see how much work it's going to take me to, like, at what point do I find them usable. And usually I find most bots are usable around level 51. And that's when I start considering putting them in war lineups. And usually ability 7 is where I feel comfortable. So a lot of times when I get new bots, that's where I'll set them up. I'll set them at 51 and ability 7. I'm not convinced on what I want to do in terms of combat bot and in terms of power cores yet, so I just got a generic setup. I always like to put blowpipe on everybody just because everybody hates them so much. So just to kind of irritate people, kind of tick them off a little bit, then I'll stick blowpipe up there. But I definitely don't feel like that's going to be the best pairing for him, particularly with the damage. I think I can get more damage or more wall busting out of a different bot. But let me also take a look at how he actually looks from an art standpoint. And so I will go to team and I'll go to, yeah, so pretty cool looking. You know, you can see him and blowpipe in there together. If you look in close enough, you can actually see that that symbol. You can see the symbol on his arm. So it looks like, well, he's moving around quite a bit. But they got like the red Decepticon symbol up there on him. So overall, I'm pretty excited about him. We'll get in there and talk a little bit more about him in a bit. But before I go any further, I left a real big shout out. I left one out in my last video, and that shout out I wanted to give to Soldier. And if you guys don't know, Soldier's one of the official Transformers Earth Wars content creators, and he also has a really good server set up there with Transformers Earth Wars addicts. So I actually joined this server, and there's a section in there for basically for new content creators. If you're doing YouTube, Twitch, anything like that, where you can go post your videos and get a little bit of exposure, particularly because he's already got a community established, lots of followers, and people can actually see your stuff. And so I did that, and he actually pinged me on Discord and was like, hey man, I'm following your channel now. So that's the first thing I was appreciative of. Anytime I can get new subscribers, I'm excited about that. But one of the things that he also did was he opened up a section to me on his server where I can go post my videos outside of just the new YouTuber channel. But now I can just go in there. He gave me like one of those roles on a server as a YouTuber. And so since I did that, I think that was last week, since I did that, I've been getting more people joining my Discord server, more subscribers joining on to my YouTube channel. And I was really appreciative that he did that. He didn't have to do that. So huge shout out to Soldier for that, just for adding me on to that part of his server and kind of giving me a little bit of a boost. I really appreciate that. But going back to Shattered Glass Shockwave. So one of the things I always like to look at is how I can combo bots with certain bots. So in this particular case, the last 3 bots that I have up here are the ones that I really looked at, particularly when I was doing testing for Shattered Glass Shockwave. One of them being Skull Smasher. And one of the things I like to always tell people is I like to try to keep my play testing realistic. Yeah, we are gonna max out every bot or something, or not every bot, but all the really good bots, we're gonna max them out at some point and everything like that, and that's cool. But that's gonna be a grind, and so I always like to say, what is it gonna look like during that grind? So like here you can see like Skull Smasher is pretty close to what I have on my actual live server. Right now I'm using the test server because I did not earn 4-star Shattered Glass Shockwave during the event, but that's okay. I still get to go play around with them in the test server and everything like that. But one of the things we were looking at is Skull Smasher, and the reason why we were looking at Skull Smasher as a good pairing for him is because if you go back and you look at Shattered Glass Shockwave, his special ability is the Cryo Shell, and I've got that at level 7 also. And it says launch a cryo shell that chills enemies in a straight line, and on level 7 it's 9.9 seconds, but that's going, that changes. And you reduce their speed by 70% in this particular case. I'm gonna actually pull. So yeah, the duration changes when you upgrade, and the damage changes when you upgrade. And so if the enemy is destroyed, then you get additional damage, and in this case it's 2,215. But after I go up to ability 8, then that becomes 2,300 to nearby enemies. And so kind of like, I look at it as like a hybrid between like a Skull Smasher and a Guy Hawk. So let's give it a test real quick so you can see what his ability actually looks like on screen. I'm gonna go into zone 14. Alright, so one of the things I like to look at is try to find those areas where you can just go in a straight line. And so here I'm going to take that left corner, and then the first thing I want to show is this is what his range looks like. Now I will say, during testing, his range and his ability cost was pretty much identical to Skull Smasher's. I want to say his range was slightly smaller, but not by much. You could really slide a piece of paper between the difference. One thing with Skull Smasher, I know his ability goes all the way through. So like you can see where that Titan pad is at the top. Skull Smasher will reach that Titan pad. And Shattered Glass Shockwave may or may not have reached it at the time. But that got shortened in testing. And so this is the new range that we get, which honestly, man, it's still a pretty good range. I was like, you can't really get mad at any bot that ability goes that far down the line. So I will send that ability out, and I didn't mean to deploy the whole team, but I was trying to get Skull Smasher, but I waited too long. But one of the combos I like to do is with Skull Smasher, and you can see here, yeah, it's a little bit too weak at ability 7 for both bots. But you can see how it gives you that huge explosion, so that if you got multiple targets hanging around that area, then you can use that to try to go add additional damage. So it becomes very helpful from that standpoint. One of the things I also like, and after I get done with this battle, I'll show you what I'm talking about. But one of the things I like to do with my Titan is I like to use the Titan to also trigger those explosions. Especially now that since I got that 4-star Titan, I can use Death Ray on them, and Death Ray will allow you to basically have a real quick shot at blowing up multiple targets and getting you some of that additional damage after you use SG Shockwave's ability. So overall, I think it's a really good ability. And here's the thing. So a couple of things, and I'm gonna demonstrate some of this stuff on screen. So a couple of the advantages I like. One of the things that I've been looking at really heavily, and I probably mentioned it in other videos a couple of times, is that the MDS, every time you turn around, is getting more and more powerful. So we started off with just MDS, and we was like, oh man, that's cool. That's a really strong defensive feature. Everybody was scrambling to make sure they got it on the defensive side. But it was like, hey man, these things are kind of a pain in the butt because you know, a lot of people were just using minigun real heavily. But then, you know, you had your alternatives. You can use the plasma cannon. You can use your laser, and so it gives you options. It gives you some flexibility. But then we started adding more and more to it. So they wanted to add the power cores to it recently, and so now you've got this already strong. Oops, I was trying to click on it. You've got all this already strong defense, and you know, like a guy like me, that first thing I said, I'm either going to do one or two things with it. I'm either going to add additional armor that make it stronger, or I was going to add a rejuvenate core. So even if it takes some damage, you know, now we're looking at, for a lot of bots, where it's out of one shot range, and so that means it's still going to be doing damage to your bots. So the counter to that, because now you know you can't. You know, you weren't able to stun MDS, but when for a while you could hack MDS. Now you can't do that. Well, there's one way there's one way you can hack it, and that's if you use the actual battle boost. But you know, I can't go up to him with Dirge. I can't go Dirge to MDS. You know, I can't use any of my bots to try to hack into there. So, you know, same thing with Bombshell. I can't Bombshell the MDS anymore like I could when they first came out. So, one of the things I started looking at is, well, what can you do to the MDS? Oh, I can freeze it. So, bots like Shattered Glass Shockwave, bots like Skyhawk became bots that were more desirable to me, particularly when, you know, the first video I did, I believe, was the ability 11 or was a review of the 5-star bots, and the ability 11s, and the 5-star bots had just come out, and one of those being Skyhawk, which they do need to fix some of his targeting issues. Those keep seeming to pop up, but those are the more desirable to me because there's not any other ways to kind of combat. You know, you can't one-shot the MDS in a lot of cases anymore. You can't hack the MDS anymore. You can't stun the MDS. You had never been able to do that, and so that's one of the reasons why this bot became very desirable to me, because it was a counter to dealing with the MDS. Alright, so we'll try this again in zone 14 again. And they got everything kind of pushed kind of far back, but let's see what I can get range wise out of Shattered Glass Shockwave's ability. That's still pretty good, so let's try this. I'll try to reach it out as far as I can. And this time I'm going to use Octo Punch. I'm going to let him walk up a little bit. Now, Octo Punch I actually like is a little bit better pairing. I mean, his abilities are a little bit slower, and it still didn't completely get everything completely destroyed, and it's probably because I had auto cannon and then like an energon storage. But on a lot of other defenses, like you can see down there, missile launcher goes boom. So it's pretty good for a lot of that stuff. And then another thing that I like is I can use Death Ray from the Titan, and that'll get it to blow up also. So in a lot of cases, I'm just using that for the sole purpose of getting this freeze ability to keep defenses off of my bots, and then I'm also using the ability to once I get that 40 seconds needed for my Titan to basically charge up his Death Ray, then I can use that as a means to taking down additional bots. taking down additional defenses, excuse me. So yeah, overall, it's a pretty good ability. I like it. It's very much a desirable bot for me. And yeah, I mean, really, that's all I really have to say about it. I'd use them if I had him in the 4-star. I did, like I said, I wasn't fortunate enough to get him as a 5-star in the event, but yeah, I'm pretty sold on him. If he shows up in my space bridge, I'd be pretty excited, as a 4-star, and maybe going into the future they actually use him as a 5-star. I think that's a little bit further down the road, just because, I mean, let's be honest, there's a handful of bots in the game that have been in there longer that we still need as a 5-star. My personal opinion is that we've run out of excuses for why we can't give Cutthroat a 5-star, but now with the Force Field Disruptor, that'll be one of those things I'm going to continue to advocate for until we actually get it. But other than that, that's all I wanted to talk about for my con highlight of the week this week. I'm really excited for this bot, and what I want to start doing is I want to start trying to do multiple con highlights. Well, not do multiple. I'm gonna try to do them one per week, but I'm gonna try to stick to doing them on. Doing them on Mondays. And I'm thinking like around this time, I'm doing them around 6 p.m. Eastern. Some of them I might pre-record, and I'm gonna go back to the lab real quick. But some of them I'm thinking about, I'm probably just gonna pre-record. But the reason why I want to do that is so I can take time to work on my additional content, and so I'm trying to look at doing 2 of these per week, but one of those always being the con highlight of the week. And so I think that's what, excuse me, I'm trying to adjust my lighting a little bit, but yeah, so that's kind of what I'm looking at from that regard. And I really I think I'm gonna try to keep that formula. So looking around 6 p.m. Eastern time, and I might pre-record some of those. Speaking of which, but with the pre-recording, so now the channel's getting a little bit more popular, and the Discord server's getting a little bit more popular. What I'd like to start doing is actually getting some live streams set up together. So I'm trying to figure out what'll be the best time and day to do it. I usually like to try to do something on like Thursdays. So particularly I like to look at it after some of the main content creators come out with their stuff on YouTube, typically on Wednesdays, and then after the newsletter is out, just because Wednesday is not always a good day for me to come out anyway. So usually I like to try to do some stuff on Thursdays. However, what I'm gonna need is I'm gonna need folks to continue to share my videos with their friends. If you like my content, share it with some of your friends, because what I want to do is maybe when I get around maybe like 100 subscribers or so, whether it be through on the channel itself, 100 subscribers on the channel. I like to have 100 on the channel and then 100 on the Discord before I start going up there and start trying to go after some live streaming again, just so I can have more time to interact with you guys. I love interacting with everybody on Discord. I actually ask people, well, which bots do you want to see on the con highlight of the week? I got a lot of good feedback for that. So look forward to testing those bots, or even playing around with them. Some of them I'm more experienced with than others, and so that's what I want to try to go do going forward. But in order to do that, I'm gonna have to need a pretty solid audience. So what I really like from you guys is to subscribe to my videos, share them if you really like them, and try to bring in more people so that we can try to build a community just like a lot of the other content creators have. But other than that, I'm thinking about my next video. So I got a couple of different requests. I think the one that I'm going to do next is I had a request to go over my war team and some of the things the tactics that I've been using on my war team, and just talk about each bots individually. One of the things we did talk about was possibly getting each of those bots in a con highlight of the week. And I could do that, but I know it's a lot of other people up there that got bots that they want to look at. So what I'll do is I'll do a video of the war team that I'm using, and I'll just talk about them individually in that video. So look forward to seeing that on Thursday. And until then, have fun. Make sure you get all your Battle Pass rewards, man. That last video I did about Battle Pass, there's some good stuff out there. I'm making it pretty far along with it. But other than that, I'll see you guys next time, and I'll also see you on the battlefield. Freezius out.